Welcome to Secret Story. I hung up and sighed, knowing Ally was safe and had not worsened things. I knew I had to believe this was one colossal mistake and Ally would never do this again, that I needed sleep and knew now that I could. I showered. It was 2:40 a.m. As I lay there trying to sleep, my focus moved to Ted. I had received a file on him from Trevor but had not looked at it yet. I had to get things straight with Ally before tackling the Ted problem, which would start tomorrow. That I turned on my side and pulled Ally's pillow to me. I buried my face in it, inhaling, taking her scent into my head. It was soothing to me, and I soon fell asleep. Aunt Olive hung up the phone and looked at me. Ally, you are one lucky woman. Most men would have thrown you into the street and wished you dead for what you have done. But you have a special man in case. He loves you and is giving you a chance. Your coming here was not smart on the surface, giving him pause to wonder where you had gone with no way to reach you. But it will help you overall. I will drive you home tomorrow and arrange to return the rental car. Now we both need sleep. We will talk tomorrow on the ride about what will happen. Olive sat beside me and pulled me to her. Please promise me you will never be this stupid again and always be true to case. If not, do not come running to me. You will be 100% on your own. And I hope he destroys you because you will deserve it. Oh God, her words were chilling to me. I was shocked at what she said but knew it was true. I had used up my only safety card and was alone now. I squeezed her. Auntie, I swear on the birth of my future children that I will be true to case for every breath of the rest of my life. Okay then, get some sleep, and mid-morning, we will drive to your home. We hugged, and I went off to bed. I gathered myself and washed. Hugged a pillow, and drifted off to sleep, praying tomorrow would be a fresh start after the tornado I had created. I was not sure the carnage was over, though. What would Case do to Ted and Sandy? I gathered my bag. And we were off. We stopped for a sandwich and hit the road for the 2-hour drive. We talked about what we thought would happen and hoped it would happen. It was all positive, except for my concern for Ted and Sandy. I had been instructed not to mention their names again. They were toxic and would light a hostile fire instantly. Whatever happened to them would happen, and I had no control over it. As we turned down our street, I took a deep breath and silently prayed. My wife was coming home, so I showered and dressed nicely. I was excited. My thoughts were clear now. I knew we had to make this work. Our marriage would change, but I was willing to move on with Ally as my wife. I fixed myself some oatmeal and a cup of coffee. I sat at the kitchen table and opened the Ted Logan, the Other Man file. I read the first 3 pages, profiling Ted Logan's history. He seemed to be a decent man but had a propensity for married women. He had been married once, but his wife divorced him for being a serial cheater. That was 3 years ago. He had relocated to escape from his wife and her family, which was part of the divorce. He was an independent investment and financial advisor, so his reputation was everything. He had money and liked to spend it. He drove a luxury car and lived in an expensive gated neighborhood. He was a member of the Country Club and Holy Trinity Episcopal Church. I suspect that most of that was to build his reputation in the community, so he had access to money, opportunities, and the wives of wealthy men. He had a live-in girlfriend he had been with for over a year. She traveled as a sales rep, allowing Ted to chase other women. They were planning a wedding in the fall, so it was clear that she didn't know about his other women. That I had read enough. I knew Ted's 2 weak spots, and now I needed to figure out how to hurt him in the worst way, making him suffer. There was a 2-page report on Sandy. She was not happy and had wrecked several marriages along the way. She was vulnerable, so I needed to figure out her best punishment. I put the files away. I needed to work on my relationship with Ally, and I would worry about Ted and Sandy in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, I called Travis and had him track everything they did, getting audio and video on everything. Yesterday I had brought in the mail but didn't want to go through it, so I put it in the drawer. I pulled it out and looked through it. Most were junk mail that kept the post office in business. A couple of bills and a pink envelope were addressed to Ally. I held it up and looked at it. There was no return address, but it was posted locally. I immediately knew it was from Ted. I placed it on the kitchen table, resisting the urge to open it and read it, but no, it was to Ally. So she should open it. I didn't care one way or the other what the letter said. I heard a car pull into the driveway. I sat and waited for the whirlwind that would come through the door. As expected, the door flew open, and Ally said, "Case, where are you?" I remained sitting at the kitchen table as Ally ran into the room. Seeing me sitting there with no emotion, Ally abruptly stopped, and the joy on her face melted into a look of concern, almost fear. Olive came up behind her and put her hands on Ally's shoulders. Seeing the same look Ally had, she asked, "Case, is everything okay?" I pointed to the envelope on the table. Ally looked down at the pink envelope. A look of fear spread across her face. Her eyes darted to me, then back at the envelope again. Ally looked at me, shaking her head, "No. I am not touching it. I don't care what it says. He is out of my life forever." Olive moved to the table and picked up the envelope. "We have two choices here. We can open and read it or burn it and never know what it says. I vote to burn it." I looked at Ally, waiting. She looked at the envelope in Olive's hand, then snatched it away from her and started walking to the back deck door, and I called out to her. "Are you sure you don't want to read it? It doesn't matter to me if you do. But I do not want you ever to feel that you should have read it and didn't because you were afraid of my reaction to what he wrote. Frankly, I don't care. Things are now about us, not about him." Ally stopped and looked back at me. She looked at the envelope and walked outside. Olive and I stayed where we were. I saw flames rise as Ally lit the fire pit. Then I saw the flame flash higher and knew she burned it, but did Ally read it? A few minutes passed, and Ally walked back into the kitchen. Her eyes were full of tears. "He is gone. He is moving to California, but I don't know where. He asked me to go with him." I gave her no reaction to what she had said. As I said, I didn't care, and this was just between us now. Olive moved to Ally and hugged her, whispering something in her ear. She nodded her head, and Olive turned to me. "My job is done. I am leaving Ally in your loving hands. Case, be gentle. Ally is hurting badly." She looked at both of us. "Be good to each other, and you can make this work. I love you both." Olive gave us hugs and kisses, leaving us with our problem. Here we are, two people madly in love with each other, mired in a broken marriage, trying to work through what has happened to us over the past 2 weeks. It is an ugly mess, full of deceit, betrayal, infidelity, inattentiveness, laziness, and broken vows. That is a lot to overcome. One such issue would often be enough to end a relationship or marriage. Yet we had to work through 6 points or more that may arise. How do we do that? I wondered what Ally was thinking. As I watched Olive drive away, I wondered what was next. I was shocked that Ted had sent me a letter and even more shocked that he would believe I would leave Case and go with him. Was I so obviously drawn to Ted that he thought he could control me? Did Ted believe I would jump at the chance to be with him? Well, he was wrong, very, very wrong. I took a deep breath and walked back into the kitchen. I was glad that I read Ted's letter. It cleared up one question Case had asked me: if I could be with Ted when Case was traveling, would I want to do that? The truthful answer was no. To be clear, Ted was not Case. Case is my true lover. He makes love to me, and he loves me and cares for me. Case is my man. Ted was a mistake, a big mistake. Ted could never replace Case, no man could. I looked at Case. He looked worried, confused, and something else, but I didn't know what. It was just something I had never seen before. I had hurt him badly, and maybe this look will always be there from now on. I certainly hope not, but I don't know. So, Ally, what is your decision? What was he asking me? What decision? What are you talking about? Ted's invitation for you to join him in California or wherever he is going. I was shocked. My mouth fell open in disbelief. What? I need to know your decision. I walked around the table and slapped Case hard on the cheek, catching him completely off guard. How dare you insult me with such a snide question, acting so surly, expecting me even to consider such a ridiculous thing as that? Case, I made a huge mistake, several actually, but I love you and only you. There will never be another love in my heart except for the children you give me. So, the answer is no, you are stuck with me unless you have made other plans, I am unaware of yet. Come with me. I have a solution for your problem. Why has this been missing in our life? It can never go away again, but what now? I know it's not over. As Ally's warm body pressed against me, I lay there thinking of where we were and what the next steps needed to be. The clock read 8:40 a.m. I had the next few days to get things worked out. I texted my lawyer, Roger Lux, who confirmed an appointment for 1:30 p.m. today. We had a lot to discuss and decisions regardless of how our relationship panned out. I rolled out of bed and went to the bathroom to shower and shave. As the water was running, I looked at the laundry hamper and was curious. I picked it up and dumped it on the floor. I laid them on the counter. The shower was hot, so I stepped in and washed quickly, shaving as the hot water soothed my body, and I washed my body and hair. Feeling fresh and clean, I stepped out and dried off. I looked to the left and saw Ally standing there looking at the lingerie on the counter. She looked at me, searching for my thoughts. I walked to the counter, opened a drawer, and brought out a pair of scissors. I laid them on top of the gift and walked out of the bathroom without a word. Ally knew what she had to do. I quickly dressed in shorts, a polo shirt, and my Crocs. I left the bedroom wondering if Ally could destroy the last physical evidence of her cheating. I hoped so. That I made coffee, and cooked cheese and eggs with sausage and toast for breakfast. We were so into each other, and the desperate need to mend our life, that food was the last thing we thought of. She came to the door with both hands full of pieces of the gift. In a solemn voice, "Your turn." I smiled at her. Good girl. That was hard to do, but it had to be done. I don't need to do anything to them. I have other plans of a grander nature for Ted and Sandy. I picked up the pile of lacy rags and walked outside to the back deck. I pressed the gas igniter, and the fire pit flamed up. Ally followed me and was standing behind me. I turned to her. Come here, Ally. Ally stepped up beside me with a look I did not recognize. I held out the pieces of the gift. You burn them. Ally swallowed hard, taking them from my hand and dropping them into the fire. The flimsy pieces quickly turned to ash, becoming non-existent. Ally watched as the last details flamed out. She stared into the fire, turned, and ran back into the house. I watched Ally go. I understood her when Ally said that Ted meant nothing to her, but I knew that was impossible. No one could have this intense affair without an emotional bond, and it is emotionally impossible. I knew that from the minute I realized what had happened. The more Ally explained things, the clearer it was that she had feelings for Ted. Ally must admit that to herself so that she can mourn his loss and heal herself to heal us. Case left me alone to do it, so I cut them into pieces and brought them down to Case so he could cut them too, but he had other plans. He led me out to the fire pit, lit it, and held the pieces out to me. This whole thing was torture. He wanted me to destroy the gift. I sprinkled the pieces into the fire, watching them flame into ashes. The gift was gone. Case walked back inside and began making breakfast as if nothing had happened. I guess to Case burning the gift was an ending of sorts. With Ted moving away and the gift destroyed by my hand, a kind of cleansing was taking place. But I knew there would be more, but what would he do? After breakfast, I didn't know what to do. I wondered what Case was going to do to Ted and Sandy. With Ted moving to California, he would have a harder time, but Sandy was here, so Case had easy access to her. I knew Case would not do anything that would put him directly in jeopardy. So what would he do? Case called me out sick from my work for a few days, so I had nothing to do. So, I decided to be domestic and clean the house, do laundry, and later work in the yard. I was sure Case went to his attorney's office for a few hours. This was not over by any means, so Case protected himself and his job and ensured all the legal things were handled. That frightened me. What would that mean for me? While scrubbing our bathroom, my phone rang, and I ignored it. It rang again a minute later, and I pulled it out and saw a familiar but unwanted number, and I put my phone away. That I finished the bathroom and bedroom, then did the laundry. I cleaned the kitchen and dried and folded the clothes. I planned tonight's dinner. My phone rang again, and I wasn't answering it. I muted the sound so it would only vibrate, and I couldn't turn it off, in case Case called me that I was tired and hungry. I made a snack and sat outside, looking at the blue sky and smelling the fresh air. When I looked in the fire pit, I saw one of the buckles that did not burn. I picked it up. It gave me an odd feeling as I held it, and I could not keep it. I ignited and burned the fire, ensuring all the gift was completely gone. My phone vibrated as I sat eating my snack and having a Coke. I looked at it and smiled. It was Case. He had been gone for a while, and it was now mid-afternoon. "Hi, baby." My voice was cheery. "Hey, what you been doing?" "Been cleaning, washing clothes, and now I am having a snack." "What have you been doing?" "Just some business stuff so I can take the rest of the week off and some other things." "Can you get cleaned up and meet me at 5 p.m.? "Oh no, what does he need me to do now?" I had a bad feeling. Yeah, I guess." "Where are we going? What do I need to wear?" I am sure I sounded nervous. I was. "Meet me at the office. You can park in my new spot in front of the building, and I'll pick you up there. You can wear a nice little dress, nothing too fancy, and you know you will look great whatever you wear." Well, that was a sweet comment. Maybe I shouldn't expect the worst. "Okay, I'll see you at 5 p.m. "That works. I'll see you then. I love you." "Okay, love you too." I hung up and sat back, taking a deep breath. Today went well. I accomplished a few important things. That I met with my attorney Anthony Timms and drew up a postnuptial agreement. None of these agreements are ever good for the cheating party and are mostly used to frighten the cheating spouse. That was certainly our intent with Ally. I believed she would never do anything like this again, or I would dump her right now. I thought she was being true and was ashamed about what she had done, and it would never happen again. Anthony suggested that if Ally ever cheats or betrays me again, I should take everything away from her, leaving her with only the bare minimum the court would require, giving her nothing more. If children are involved, the penalties would be severe, losing custody with limited visitation. The prenup is a hard document, and Ally will be upset by it, but she must sign it without negotiation as one of the stipulations of our staying together. As hard as it would be for me to divorce Ally right now, I could do it and move on. I have a bright future at the company in my new position. I would miss Ally in our future together, but I could do it. Anthony and I discussed at length what that would be like and what the law required. Adultery is illegal in our state. So I could have Ally and Ted arrested should I decide to take a dark path. However, it would not sway the court on our divorce, and the financial split would be the same as any other divorce. I would lose a lot, as would Ally, so I was not going that way now. I did have Anthony draw up the papers so I could share them with Ally, letting her know they would be waiting in the wings should she ever cheat again. Now to a wonderful thing I did today. I bought Franklin Street. I met with Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, and I made an offer, and they accepted. They had their real estate agent meet us, and we signed the sales agreement, and I gave them a $25,000 deposit. I called my banker and got things rolling on the mortgage. Franklin Street was finally going to be ours. The Johnsons had been holding the house for us for over a year. They had already purchased their retirement home in Sarasota, Florida. So, they were happy we finally finalized the purchase. They were sweet people and said they could be out as soon as we could close the legal end, in about a month. I knew Ally would be over the moon when I told her tonight so, today had been a bittersweet day, and it would become even more complicated now. While I was with Anthony, Travis called me with an update. Ted scheduled his movers to load his household goods tomorrow and Wednesday. He was flying out Thursday morning to Sacramento, California, and I assumed that was his destination. But Travis was trying to confirm that now. Travis had been monitoring both Stacy's and Ted's communications. Case, Stacy has tried to call Ally several times today, but Ally did not answer. It would help if you listened to the message that Stacy left Ally, and it may be an opportunity to do something tonight. Let me know if you need my help. I listened to the message. Ally, how is it going, girl? I hope things are okay. I see you are not at work today, or maybe you're working from home. Anyway, Ted is leaving for California in a couple of days. If you want to tell him goodbye, we will have a goodbye dinner at the Blue Lighthouse on Reynolds Road tonight at 5:30 p.m. I do not expect you to come. But I just wanted you to know. I miss you, girl. Call me. My blood pressure was about to blow my head off. The audacity of the woman. I needed to deal with her now, tonight. I told Anthony about the message and asked what I could do legally. I must stop this intrusion into our lives, or something else could happen. That we set out a plan. Anthony worked quickly, having 2 restraining orders issued. I also had criminal charges filed against Ted. Anthony drew up an alienation of affection lawsuit naming Ted and Sandy as co-conspirators. The suit demanded $2 million in damages. I had all these documents in my hands before I left Anthony's office to pick up Ally. The schedule was we would go to the Brighton Inn for a drink. It was the bar I took Ally to when I asked her to marry me. Ally would remember and feel a romantic spark. We would have dirty martinis and talk about the future. I would show her the prenuptial agreement and the envelope with the divorce papers. The documents would shock Ally and bring her to the moment's urgency. Then we would ride over to Franklin Street, and Ally's sadness would erupt into euphoria as we walked up to the door. When the Johnsons come to the door, they will say, "Welcome to your new home." Ally will freak out and may even faint. We will tour the house and stay for coffee for 30 minutes, letting this all sink into Ally. Ally would see she had almost lost all of this and feel sad. Exactly how I hoped she would. But then she would be happy once she understood we were staying together. Then we will move on to the Blue Lighthouse on Reynolds Road, where the shit would hit the fan. When I make my move on Ted and Sandy, it will be a beautiful thing for me and very painful for them. I saw Ally's SUV as I drove up to meet her. When she stepped out, she looked radiant, even in her simple dress. I got out, pulled her to me, and kissed her softly. I waited, looking at the building from his new executive parking space. I was so proud of him for what he had accomplished. He was a success, and he was my man. Just then, I saw Case pull up. I stepped out of my SUV. And Case kissed me to him. Wow, he was excited. I could feel him growing against me, and this was promising. Today must have been a good day. I was with Case, and the night had started beautifully. Oh God, my heart sank. My breath caught in my throat. Case, what are those? My voice was shaking. Case looked at me. The look on his face was serious. Our martinis came, and Case's mood changed. He put the envelopes on the seat beside him. He picked up his martini and held it up. Ally, I want to toast to our future. our long life together, and the children and family we will create. I looked at Case, very confused but raised my glass. We hooked arms and sipped our drink, then Case pulled me to him and kissed me sweetly. Oh, my God! Suddenly I could not breathe. I sat paralyzed, not knowing what to say or how to react. I drank the rest of my martini in one gulp and waved at the waitress, 2 more. The Case laid the 2 legal envelopes on the table. My heart started pounding as fear consumed me. My whole body began to tremble, and I couldn't think clearly. The next round came, and I drank my whole martini, before the waitress left the table. What now? I brought Ally here because of beautiful memories, and I thought it was a good place to start what could be a difficult night for both of us, but more so for Ally. Tonight, there would be pain, happiness, revenge, and the final decision would be clear on whether we are still a couple. I prayed that my strategy would work. We ordered 2 dirty martini and toasted our future. Then I shocked her by bringing out the 2 legal envelopes. Ally began to crash in fear, which was what I wanted Ally, to feel the pain and fear so she would never do what she did again. She swallowed her second martini and wanted mine. Ally, calm down. What did I tell you? I love you and don't want to lose you, so we must survive tonight and move on together. So, get hold of yourself. No more drinks. Case, you went to see Anthony today. Why? What is in the envelopes? Ally, you must calm down, or I will not discuss these tonight. I will take you back to your car, and you can go home. I will stay away until we can talk this over. We can only finish this when you can keep yourself under control. Case, let me go to the ladies' room, and when I return, I will be okay. I watched her run off to the ladies' room and waited. 10 minutes passed, and Ally came back. She had washed her face and looked more in control. I am okay now. Case, you start. Ally, as part of us moving forward, I have to know that I can trust you and that I don't have to be a watchdog over you every minute. I know you told me that something like what you did would never happen again, but I have doubts and never thought it could have happened in the first place. So, Ally, as I see it, it could happen again. God no, Case, never, never, again. I could never do that to you. I am so sorry it happened. I never meant to do this to you, it just happened. Ally, I believe you, but that is why I said it could just happen again. We have to be protected. With our life, your job, and my career beginning to bloom, we must protect each other and our future children. Anthony and I drew up a postnuptial agreement for us to sign this morning. It protects both of us if either of us ever cheats in the future. The terms are severe, and you will not like them, but you have no choice. You must sign the agreement, or we cannot continue to be together. I will be forced to divorce you. But like you say, you will never cheat on me again, so that being true, it will become a non-issue in our lives. The second envelope is a divorce petition. That will only be used if either of us cheats on the other. It can be filed instantly should infidelity happen, nothing else. Once we have signed the documents, Anthony will hold them in his safe until they are needed, if ever. I stopped to let Ally process what I had said. She looked sick and confused, and the color had drained from her face. She was breathing harshly. I said nothing, letting her gather herself. I continued when I saw her breathing slowly, and she was back in control. If you want to read the documents, we can sit here while you do. Or you can sign the documents and read the terms later. If you do not cheat on me again. The terms are irrelevant, so it doesn't matter what they are. I took the documents out and laid them on the table for Ally to see. She looked at them and me. I have to sign both of these? Yes, I must sign them too, so you're not alone. I am committing to them as well. She scanned the postnuptial agreement and gasped when she saw the settlement she would get and the fact that she would lose custody of any children we would have. Her hands shook as she held the document, making it hard for her to read. I reached out, placing my hand on hers. Ally, this is not an issue today, and it will only go into effect if you ever cheat on me again. Since you have stated that could never happen. The divorce papers would never be put into force. Do you understand? You do need to sign it now, though. I placed a pen on the table and sat back, waiting. I saw tears on her cheeks as she picked up the pen and signed and initialed both documents in all the places marked with the colored tabs. She placed the pen on the table. She picked up my martini and slugged the whole thing down in one swallow that I signed the documents. We were done. I put them in their envelopes and moved over next to Ally. I pulled her to me, holding her as she softly sobbed. Then in a soft voice, "My God, Case, how could I have been so stupid, selfish, and irresponsible? I don't deserve to be your wife. Why are you saving me?" I put my fingers under her chin and raised her face. So Ally looked into my eyes. I wanted her to see that there was no doubt in my mind that I loved her, and I hoped she could accept that as the truth. "Ally, I love you. I want you to continue to be my wife. You made a major mistake. I also believe that you are truly sorry. I also believe that now we can move on with our life together. Let's get out of here and do the most fun thing we have ever done, something we have wanted to do for a long time." As our kiss continued, a slightly inebriated man walked by and slurred, "Get our room." That broke the tension, and we both burst out laughing. I paid the tab, and we were off to adventure number 2, Franklin Street. In the SUV, "Fix your face. We are seeing some people." "Oh no, I can't see anyone like this." "Yes, you can. Fix your makeup." I pulled into a shopping center and parked while she fixed her face. "Case, where are you taking me?" "You'll see." I pulled back out in the street and took the serpentine route so she would not figure it out until we arrived. Before I turned onto Franklin Street, I told Ally, "Close your eyes and cover your face until I tell you that you can look." I stopped in front of the house. I saw the Johnsons sitting on the front porch as I got out. They waved as I opened Ally's door. "Can I look yet?" "No, just a minute. Step out on the sidewalk." I held her hand as she slipped off the seat. I closed the door. And we stood facing the house we now owned. "Okay, baby, you can open your eyes." Ally dropped her hands, opened her eyes, and gasped when she saw where we were and the Johnsons walking across the porch to the top of the steps. "Case, what is going on? Why are we here? Come on." I took her hand and walked her up the walkway to the steps. The Johnsons had big smiles as we stopped and looked up at them. Ally looked at me as they said, "Welcome to your new home." Ally screamed, "What, Case, what did you do?" My heart was beating wildly, and I was feeling euphoric. All the negative thoughts faded away, replaced by pure joy. Ally grabbed me and kissed me hard. I broke our kiss and looked into her eyes. "Ally, I bought the house for us today, and it is ours as soon as the closing happens in about a month. Let's go inside and take a tour." What a roller coaster we were on tonight. First, Case scared me to death with divorce papers and a postnuptial agreement. I was so afraid, then I realized what he was saying and that if I didn't cheat again, none of these papers meant anything. Once I had rationalized it all in my head, I signed the papers. It felt strange, but it was what I had to do, so I did it. That being behind us now, hopefully we can return to normal tonight. I need to show him how much I genuinely love him. Now we are standing in front of our dream home, where we want to begin our family and build our future. We love this house and have worked so hard to save the money needed. But then my thoughts became sad as I thought, cheating on Case, he was working so hard, making these sales with big commissions and bonuses that have enabled us to finally buy Franklin Street. Then I snapped out of my sadness. Franklin Street was ours. I was over the moon at this news. The Johnsons invited us inside for a tour. I felt like a kid in a candy store as we moved through the house, discussing what each room could be used for and thinking about how we could decorate the home. My gosh, it was only a month away. We had coffee with the Johnsons and chatted about their new home in Florida. It was so exciting that both families could move into the next phase of our lives. As we rose to leave, I thanked them, and we all hugged. We will see them again at the closing in a few weeks. Mrs. Johnson told me to come by any time to look around. We stopped and looked back at our new home as we walked down the front walk. I gripped Case's arm, squeezing it. God, Case, I love you so much. Thank you for believing in me and trusting me to be your wife. I will make sure you never regret this day. He held me looking into my eyes. I love you so much, Ally. We have one more hurdle to get over tonight. This will be extremely hard on you, so you need to be strong and follow my lead. I have this under control. And we will survive this. Case, what are you talking about? Hop in now. We have a little drive ahead and need to be there soon. The Case didn't answer my question as we drove to the unknown. Once again, I was nervous. Ally was so happy, and I was happy too. We had taken this major step and would be in our new home in a month. I need to decide what we will do with our current home. Did I want to sell or rent it? Now it was on to the hardest part of the night. We drove toward the blue lighthouse, and I had to prepare Ally for what was coming next. Ally, you need to listen carefully to what I will tell you. No questions. You must follow my instructions completely and be the best actress you have ever been. It is critical to the success of the next and final event that will set us free to be husband and wife for the rest of our lives. Do you understand? I knew Ally didn't know what I was discussing, so how could she agree? I pulled into the Walmart parking lot and stopped. I looked at my watch at 6:24 p.m., and I had 6 minutes to explain what would happen and get to the Blue Lighthouse to meet Travis and his men. I turned and looked at Ally. She had a very confused look on her face. Her confusion was compounded because we were on this side of town and we never came over here. The only time we were here was on Friday night when I caught Ally cheating with Ted, and they were with Sandy and James. The same night Jake saw Ally and Ted kissing and my life as I knew it ended. Ally, I have less than 5 minutes to explain this to you, so listen carefully, understand? No, but go on and tell me. Look around. Do you know where we are? She looked all around. No, I have no idea. Last Friday night, you were at the Blue Lighthouse a half-mile down the street. We are going there now. Earlier, you were invited to a going-away party for Ted. He is leaving in 2 days for California. Sandy called you and asked you, but you never answered the call. I don't think you listened to the message either, did you? She shook her head. No. Travis listened to the message and shared it with me. Yes. I have been having you watched, so be pissed off if you want to be, but until this mess is resolved, I must be sure about everything. Anyway, you are going to confront Ted and Sandy now. You will serve them both with the restraining orders and a $2 million civil lawsuit for conspiring to destroy our marriage and alienation of affection. At 7 p.m., the police will arrive to arrest Ted for infidelity. He will be taken to jail, booked, and held until the night magistrate sets his bail at midnight. Then he will be able to bail out. Travis will bail Ted out and his men will take him home. They will help Ted gather his suitcases and pack his clothes. In the morning, they will take him to the airport and ensure he is placed on the 9:30 a.m. flight to California. The same flight was booked on Thursday, but he will go 2 days early. Ted's restraining order instructs him never to contact you in any way, text, phone, email, or letter. The last time you two lovers will see each other is tonight when you hand him the restraining order and lawsuit papers, while you recite the script I have written for you. I handed Ally the script and turned on the overhead light so she could read the 3 paragraphs. I continued, once Ted is gone, Travis and his men will supervise the packing of all of Ted's goods and furniture by the moving company, ensuring that all of his property is safely packed and shipped off to California to Ted's new home. Then we will finally be rid of Ted forever. As for Sandy, her restraining order will also prevent her from ever contacting you in any way. She must always stay a minimum of 200 feet away from you. Sandy is a co-defendant in the $2 million lawsuit. Ally sat there in shock, not knowing what to say. She had read the script, and I saw tears rolling down her cheeks. I wondered if they were sad tears because she was telling her lover goodbye or happy tears because he would be gone, and this mess would be over. Either way, it didn't matter. I also had a few choice words for both Ted and Sandy that I started pulling onto the road when Ally screamed, "Stop, stop, no, I cannot do this. I do not want to see Ted or Sandy ever again. No. I can't do this." I stopped and turned to her. "Ally, you have no choice. You must do this to prove to me that you have the strength to stand up for yourself to Ted and Sandy. If you can't do that, I am not sure I believe you could fend off another lover should one ever seduce you. That would mean we could not stay married, and I would file the divorce papers tomorrow. You must do this one last thing." Part 6 coming soon.